New poll says more than a third of registered voters think President Biden would finish a second term if reelected. Meanwhile, 44% think he would leave office before the end of a second term. Republican strategist Boyd Matheson wrote an opinion piece in KSL News Radio saying it may be time for younger leaders in politics, saying, quote, sadly, the American people have also begun to buy into the indispensable leader syndrome. Currently, the United States Congress has an approval rating that hovers somewhere around 9 to 14%. Yet incumbents in Congress are reelected at a rate of over 90% each election cycle. Here to talk more about the piece, why don't you talk to the author, Boyd Matheson. He's a Republican strategist and former chief of staff to Senator Mike Lee. Appreciate you being here. I said last week, I know people who are 100 who are probably mentally capable to handle a big job like being in Congress or running for president. And I know people who are 24, and you could say the opposite for both as well. Why is age such a big issue right now? And do you think the conversation is shifting?
Yeah, I think the conversation is starting to shift to what you're talking about, Marni, which is the competence and how long they've been in power. We've really bought into this whole idea of the irreplaceable. We have politicians on both the left and the right who convince us, they always say, you can vote for anyone you want. That's your right and choice as an American. But if you don't vote for me, you're going to lose power. You're going to lose influence. And that's why we have so many incumbents reelected, regardless of their age or their capacity. People are just afraid of the alternative, or they're afraid of losing power, money, or influence. And so the problem is when we treat people as being irreplaceable, they become irreplaceable, and they stay around far too long. And so the challenge for we the people, the test, is really if we start to treat our politicians as replaceable, which they are, then these politics and all the hyper-partisanship goes away, because the politics will be less consequential to our lives, because government will be less consequential in our lives. And we have to get to that part of the conversation. And I agree with you, Marni. It's not necessarily an age thing. But I think George Washington got it right, that there is a time to move on and to let the next generation actually step up and lead.
And with Romney's departure, he says he will not run again. What does that signal to you?
Yeah, I actually think it's, regardless of how people feel about the politics of Senator Romney, he got this one right. And so many in politics miss it. Senator Romney was, in essence, saying, I trust the American people. I trust the institutions of government. I trust the people of Utah to pick someone who can then step forward and do that. And I think he did channel a little bit of Washington there. Washington was one of the few in world history to be the commander of the conquering forces and not assume absolute power. Everyone said he was irreplaceable. A lot of people wanted him to be king. And he said, that's not good for the nation. That's not good for a constitutional republic. And so I think what Senator Romney did, how he did it, I think is the right thing. He talked about both sides. He talked about President Biden being incapable and former President Trump being unwilling to lead in a way that the nation actually needs right now. And so I think it's a good model. I think it's a good time for all of us to reflect on, what do we actually want out of our elected officials, and should they be there that long? I think the founders set up this constitutional republic to have seasonal leadership. You go in for a season, you work hard, you get some things done, you leave a legacy, and then you're supposed to go back to your community and make a difference there.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.